Hello, my name is Scott Hatfield, and this spring I'm asking for your vote to become the next president of the Fresno Teachers Association. One of the reasons I'm asking for your vote is I'm hoping to have a real impact on this district on the issue of class size. It's an issue I've worked on for nearly 8 years, and it's very important to me. Not only does it affect our working conditions as professionals, but more importantly, it affects the learning conditions of our students. The video you're about to see will tell you a little bit about the work I've already done in this district to improve those conditions, but it's going to tell you more. It's going to tell you about the history of class size in this district. It's going to help you understand the contract better, and it's going to lay out a roadmap on where we are and where we need to go. The issue of class size and the history of our contract are impossible to separate. In fact, more so than any other issue. The 1978 work stoppage, the only strike in FTA's history, lasted for 2 weeks, and the legacy of that strike is painful to recount. While FTA obtained favorable contract language on many issues in that strike, including an article on class size, they did not succeed in their main goal, setting a firm cap on class sizes. Sound familiar? Instead, they were forced to settle for weaker language that treated class sizes merely as guidelines, which could be abandoned at the district's convenience. This failure set the pattern for the next 3 decades. In most negotiations that followed, those bargaining for the teachers would give lip service to the class size issue, only to use it as a bargaining chip to get more salary. Bit by bit, class sizes grew and grew, with a guideline in the high schools going from 27 to 37. And the fact is, without a hard cap on the size, if you raise the guideline, you will end up with individual sections above 37. Consider this slightly blurred image of a Fresno Unified Science classroom in the fall of 2016, with more than 40 students, on a day where the classroom had less than 40 seats. Kind of crowded. Things like this might be excusable on fiscal grounds if there was no clear relationship between class size and student outcomes. I have a vivid memory of a high school principal assuring me that there was no concrete evidence of a relationship, that the research in that area was inconclusive. Small wonder then that teachers in the past often wilted in negotiations, caving on the issue of class size in order to ensure that they made at least some gains on salary. And even today, you can find people in our district who will still make those kinds of arguments. Are they still valid? To answer that, consider the National Educational Policy Center at the University of Colorado at Boulder, which has produced the gold standard meta-analysis of class size effects and policies. Their analysis, published in 2014, synthesizes the results of the most rigorous studies of class size effects and poses the fundamental question: does class size matter? Yes, it matters very much. In fact, class size is one of the most studied educational policies. Class size has been shown to play an important role in both present student achievement and long-term student outcomes. All else being equal, increasing class sizes will harm student outcomes, while reducing them improves those outcomes. Finally, the payoff from class size reduction is greater for low-income and minority children, while any increases in class size will likely be most harmful to those populations. The data from this research makes it clear that school districts and teachers who care about student achievement and long-term outcomes both have to consider the benefits of class size reduction. Like most of you, I wasn't a part of the district in 1978 when these events began to unfold. I only joined the district in 1993, the last 18 years at Bullard High School. About 8 years ago, I received the opportunity to start working for the association as a site rep. Beginning in 2011, the district began to contract its labor force by offering golden parachutes for early retirement at the same time that state oversight of class size was relaxed. This caused class sizes at many sites to expand well above recent practice, and as a new site rep, I saw that it was causing grief for my colleagues at Bullard. Yet everyone believed that nothing could be done because that's just the way it is. But since I was a new site rep and didn't know any better, I actually went and reviewed the contract. I discovered that there was language that the district was not following. I found out that there were loopholes in Article 5 being exploited by the district that essentially made it impossible for an individual teacher to even officially complain about their class sizes, much less get relief. Most importantly, I found there was language that neither the district nor FTA seemed to think was important or meaningful. The message I received from all parties for several months was, it's past practice, what's been done. Even if that language in the contract means what you think it means, you'll never get an arbitrator to agree. But I was convinced that I was right, and eventually my determination led FTA leadership to place me on the bargaining team. As a member of that team, I argued that the district needed to provide our association with regular reports on class size and staffing ratios for every school site. We started receiving those reports in the fall of 2014. And my analysis of that district-wide data demonstrated inequities in staffing, which our leadership team leveraged to change the district's practice. Perhaps most importantly, these developments made class size a viable issue for bargaining again in this district. Making class size a priority in FTA's negotiations was a logical outcome of our association partnering with our community in setting an agenda for district-wide reform, a campaign called Stand with Students. Beginning in January of 2015, FTA sponsored more than a dozen community meetings at different sites in our district in hopes of making common cause with the parents, students, and other community members. Many teachers, like me, attended these meetings as well, and many of us were elated to learn that the vast majority of those who attended really did agree with us. Fresno Unified needed to put more dollars on school sites, more dollars in the classroom in order to meet the needs of students. As the campaign progressed, this became the association's touchstone, both in terms of the school board candidates we supported in the fall of 2016, but also in terms of the issues that FTA brought forward in its negotiations with the district. In the bargaining cycle we just completed, there were still some people in the district who went so far as to argue that our attempt to leverage our negotiations on behalf of our students was just a bargaining ploy and something that had no basis in negotiations. But this is both untrue and unworthy of the district. We have an article in our contract that's nearly 40 years old, Article 5, on class size. And we not only have a contractual right to make it an issue in these negotiations, we have a moral obligation to reform practices that research says harm students. The support we've received from the community and the growing evidence of the efficacy of class size reduction gives advocates for class size reform the moral and intellectual high ground. Thanks for watching this video. You've learned about the history of class size in this district, the structure of Article 5, and where we need to go in the future. If you think this issue is important, if, like me, you believe that teachers have a moral obligation to advocate for the learning conditions of our students, especially the very youngest students, if you believe that, then won't you please share this with other members of our association? Like every other issue that faces our association going forward in the future, our progress will be dependent on our members being well informed and unified. Knowledge really is power. Thanks for watching, and have a great spring break.